Looking to reconnect, recharge, and grow alongside women in agriculture and food? Join the Advancing Women Conference happening November 23rd through 25th, 2025 at the Sheraton Falls View in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Hear from inspiring leaders who are shaping the future of ag and food, gain practical insights to support your personal and professional growth, and build meaningful connections with like-minded women from across the industry. For all the details and to save your seat, check out the link in today's show notes. Hi, I'm Caitlin Dubin, and this is the Rural Woman Podcast. I'm a first-generation farmer who married into agriculture. Born and raised in a city, I was so unfamiliar with where my food came from, but I was determined to figure it out. Through my journey into agriculture, I saw women who were strong but humble, often taking a back seat. To me, these women were leaders who deserved a seat at the table. I created the Rural Woman Podcast to share the voices of women in an industry whose stories often went untold. The rural entrepreneurs who live and breathe their work, full of grit and pride. We come here to share our stories, to be in community with each other, to be challenged and inspired, but most importantly, to be celebrated and to be heard. We may not all live, farm, ranch, or homestead the same, but we are all connected. We are rural women, and our stories are worthy of being told. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Rural Woman Podcast. We are sharing a special two-part series featuring mini interviews recorded live from the 2025 Advancing Women in Agriculture West Conference, held this spring in Calgary, Alberta. While attending the conference, I had the opportunity to sit down with a handful of incredible women who showed up to learn, connect, and share their passion for agriculture. These short but meaningful conversations highlight just a few of the powerful voices within this vibrant community. Whether you're listening to part one or part two, I hope these stories inspire you the same way they inspired me. Without further ado, my friends, let's dive into this special series of the 2025 Advancing Women in Agriculture West Conference. Welcome. Tell us your name, where you're from, and what your connection to agriculture is.
Hi, my name is Sonia Navvuru. I'm a graduate student at University of Alberta. I'm doing my second year PhD in plant science. So I'm working with the clubroot resistance in canola, and I'm trying to use plant breeding and genetics to improve canola against the pathogen clubroot.
Very cool. What is your connection with agriculture? What made you decide that you wanted to do your master's in this?
So I'm from India. So my parents are not agriculturists, but my grandparents are. And when I saw them working in the field and they're having their connection with the nature, really made me so calm and happy to work with them. And when I started having my education, I got interest into research, and especially research into plants and trying to improve their resistance against any type of stresses, including abiotic and biotic stresses. And when I got the opportunity to do my master's, I I did a research on aphid resistance of Brassica juncea, which is a related species of canola. And later on, I got the opportunity to do research on clubroot resistance in canola. So I really am happy and I'm very passionate about resistance breeding and using genetic technologies and plant breeding to improve crops. That's how I came into this field.
Very cool. What have been some of your biggest takeaways from the Advancing Women's Conference?
It has been a pleasure to be a part of this wonderful conference where I got to meet so many inspiring farmers, women farmers who are not only farmers but have the family. They are businesswomen, they're having their own business. And it's truly inspiring what all a woman can do. And it really inspires me to work hard and also do whatever I'm doing in a more passionate way, more hardworking way, so that I can contribute to agriculture and improve crops against this pests and pathogens.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Welcome. Tell us your name, where you're from, and what your connection to agriculture is.
Hi everyone, I'm Sonika. I'm originally from Nepal. Currently, I'm doing my master's degree at University of Alberta. I just knew about this AWC through the email, and I thought it's very interesting. Why not to try? Then I tried, and I got selected, and here I am now. It's a very unique experience, I will say, because it's it's my first any conference. Like I have never been to any conference, not even academic. Then it's very interesting to know that the university is such a small world, but outside the university there are a lot of things that is going on which we students are not aware of. So it was a great experience. I met a lot of people and farmer, industry and academia people. It was a great experience. I'm taking a lot of things to my home.
What are you currently studying for your master's degree? What's your master's degree on?
Yeah, currently I am working in the seed coating for the field P. I'm looking management practice seed coatings. It's a geolite seed coating, and we are looking if it works for a certain root disease, which is aphanomyces root disease. Yeah, that's what I'm working on now.
And what have been some of your biggest takeaways from the conference so far?
I would say the best thing is to be motivated with the other people, the way they talk, the way they say share about their story. And me personally, I'm very underconfident person. It takes me a lot of time to talk with the people, and but I see people standing in the stage and talking, and they are very good. We as a student, it's a very good big thing that if someone talk with us and listen to us and listen to our stories. So I think one thing I'm taking is to be the confident and developing the more leadership skill. The workshop on the leadership and many other topics has made increased my confidence. I'll say that I'm taking more confidence and more connection.
That's amazing. And honestly, I promise sharing your story gets easier the more that you do it. And sitting down here today with me, you've just proven that. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, my friend. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your connection to agriculture is.
Thanks, Caitlin. My name is Patti Durand. I am based in Humboldt, Saskatchewan, and I am the owner of Bright Track Consulting. My connection to agriculture is deep and wide and lifelong. Born on a farm, raised at Toulon, Manitoba, and agriculture degree at University of Manitoba. And I've spent my career consulting and advising farms, and most recently, really drilled down and focused on coaching farm families in transition and succession discussions.
Amazing. And if longtime listeners of the Rural Woman podcast are like, I think I've heard this story before, it's because you have. And now I've just got to meet my friend Patti IRL at the Advancing Women Conference. And you did some presentations yesterday. Let's talk about them. What were you presenting on?
So it is a topic that is near and dear to my heart and really well suited to workshops. The topic was start where you are and lead the way. The concept being that our global or world perspective about leadership is that we're aspiring to this title when we become the president, when we become the manager, when we become the CEO. And in fact, leadership is a set of behaviors that you can start wherever you are. And so we dug into that and had a ton of fun with it.
So good. What was the feedback that you received from the participants?
So one of the principles I have in presenting, and it's important to me as an audience member, is I want to both be inspired, but also have some things I can sink my teeth into. What can I do with this? And so the feedback from people was just that. So, Patty, you made me think about this differently. I have been waiting to become a leader, and I'm like realizing now, wait a minute, I can do this right now. And this was actually from women of all ages. So university students all up to women who had been in their career for 20 years. That moment for me is so exciting to help people just embrace and recognize their opportunity, no matter what their title is right now and where they are. It's, I hope inspiration and good modeling is what I hope to do, is give them an example to follow and the words to do it.
Absolutely. And I love the part about like, what can I sink my teeth into? And when I leave here, what are my next steps, right? Not just the feel good. We all love a good feel good moment, don't get me wrong, but having tools to take with me into my everyday life after we leave the conference setting is so important. How has it been being a published author?
Rewarding in ways I never imagined. It's very vulnerable writing a book. These are my personal beliefs and thoughts and ideas that I want to put in people's hands, but they don't have to take it. And lo and behold, they are. And so what has been happening is that people are reading it and then coming back to the website and ordering a set for their family, or advisors are ordering it for their clients. And the commentary is, this is what our family needed. This is starting conversations we know we've needed to start, but they haven't yet. And it's giving us some language. Or, how did you know that's what we sound like? Did you have a microphone in our office? Like, yeah, no. But wow, like that's what I would hope for. The other piece of feedback that I really is precious to me is that they're saying these are hard topics that are discussed in a safe way. I got to the end of the book and it was difficult in terms of some of the content, but it wasn't triggering or damaging. I was able to absorb it and reflect on where it applied to me. And that's music to my ears.
So amazing. And honestly, gangbusters for your first book. Has this inspired you for your next book? Is that the big question?
I would say that I'm getting a little itchy right now, meaning I think this is the first of books. And the overarching theme that I think about that I would like to aspire to is kind of, how could I know? So often what I encounter are smart, intelligent, caring people that have just never done this before. And so it's not lack of capability, but lack of resources or understanding. They just don't know what they don't know. And so I think about messages that would help advisors in preparing for how they might best serve businesses, and family businesses in particular is my focus. I think about maybe the senior generation and some messages that they seem to be missing in their own process. So some ideas are trickling. Oh, here's one other idea. The commandments of farming that are no longer serving us.
Ooh, that one on a pillow, Patti.
Yes.
Love that. And you're going to have to come back when you publish that one.
I can't wait.
For the listeners listening, head back to episode 217 with Patti Durand if you want to learn more about Patti and her book, The Future Leader. Patti, thanks for coming to say hi. So happy to see you IRL.
My pleasure.
Welcome. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your connection to agriculture is.
Yeah, so my name is Carly Hilbert. I'm a student who just finished up my degree at the University of British Columbia, so coming here from Canada. From Vancouver, Canada. And my connection to agriculture is really within the veterinary industry. I've been involved in the veterinary industry since I was 14 and have been around horses especially, but also lots of cows, sheep, goats, pigs, cats, dogs, the whole 9 yards. And it became very apparent to me that clinic was never for me. It's never going to be like a veterinarian boots on the ground. But what I did fall in love with was the policy and how we're actually going to govern kind of like veterinarian practices and how we're going to set farmers up for success and set really most sectors up for success, especially around zoonotic diseases and how we're going to manage those.
Very cool. And congratulations on recently graduating. Very exciting. What's the next steps for you?
The next steps is a master's and combined PhD in September. Also, hopefully at UBC, possibly at SFU, which is another university in Vancouver. So still in the same spot. Doing very similar things. Gotten a couple of go-aheads to work with a couple of municipalities and try out some ideas that I've had on how to increase surveillance and increase communication between stakeholders, be that industry, be that community members, really just anybody who wants to know actually has the information. And talking around at this conference a lot is people want to have this information. It's good information to have, and it's right now very hard to get.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to bring in a conversation that you and I were both part of earlier today.
Yeah.
We were sitting around a round table and we were talking about essentially women in leadership roles and going on boards or being a part of boards. And you mentioned some really important things for the folks listening who have considered joining a board or being a part of the bigger conversation in agriculture. What is your biggest advice? And I ask this of you because you need to know that this incredible woman has been a part of government and boards and everything since the age of 14 years old. That's the background information I know about Carly. So, what's your biggest piece of advice for women who want to dip their toe into this?
Yeah. So when I was 14, I shadowed somebody and followed his kind of foray and learned his policy and started to kind of tack on my own ideas as I got a hand on it. And the biggest thing that he said to me was don't self-reject. And my mom is the main breadwinner of my family, and she took us all around the world growing up. And between my mom and my old boss, it was always, the answer is no, it's because you got a no, not because you said no. Like, you are never going, like, your rejection is going to be in that letter. Don't let the thought of, like, I don't have enough experience, I'm not the right fit. They'll tell you that. If it's something you want to do, you're going to do it, and you're not going to stop until you get a no. And that, put the anxiety in a box for me. It's like, oh, I can't self-reject. That's not allowed. And that has opened up a lot of doors for me because I'll just apply. Like, I'll just be a little ballsy and apply and see where I go.
And honestly, like, I look at, like, little Caitlin, like 14-year-old Caitlin, and if I would have heard that then, like, whew, what would we be doing now? I don't know if I'd be sitting here doing this, but like, I think we'd be doing big things. So I love that piece of advice. And you're sitting in a room filled with women with years and years of experience on top of yours and mine and all of these things. And when you said that, Carly, I just saw the light bulb moments for every woman in that room. So I want to personally thank you for saying that. That is something that I'm going to take away from this conference, was that right there. What are you taking away from this conference?
I'm going to take away the fact that, like, we are not as siloed as we think we are. There's a lot of industry here, and we all come together under the branch of ag. And I don't know where I got this idea or who maybe told me this idea, but I really thought we were all in our very big silos. And we were like, okay, cool. That's great. You do calf cow. That's so good. I do grain over here. We're going to stay over here. And no. We're actually going to collaborate. And we're going to collaborate, and we're going to look at these systematic problems on a very big level and actually start working on them. There is an attitude of all the women are in this room together. We're all learning how to be better women, better in our careers, better people to ourselves. Let's also start looking at the systems that we're working in, because, we can talk about ourselves all day long, but ultimately we are in a system still. And so what are we going to do to make that better? And how are we going to make that better for the next people? And it's amazing to be in a room full of women who have worked so hard to make the industry better for me. Like, I'm the up and coming generation, and there's been so much work, and I'm so in awe of everybody and all the sacrifices and hard work they've put in to create such a brilliant future for me.
I was recently at another conference, and there was a comment made that the women who are here now, we're not doing this for us. We're not doing this for our daughters. We're not even doing this for our granddaughters. We are doing this for the women far down the road, just as the women have done for us to be able to come here. I always think we would have been witches in another lifetime, and we would have been burned at the stake. Don't tell anyone.
Okay, but if you were a woman and you weren't going to get burned at the stake in the 1400s, are you really living your best life?
I don't think so.
Is my family's hot takeaway. Living in Europe, we're very familiar with witch hunts, and it's like, look, you got to push the envelope a little bit. My mom worked her butt off for me to have the opportunities that I have in industry and all the misogyny she faced. And I was really lucky. I was raised with my great grandmother, and the things that I was talking about, she's like, oh my God, like, women can do that now? Like, that's incredible. And I've been so fortunate to have all these wonderful, strong women in my life open the door and be like, step on in. Right? Here's where the fight is, honey. And figure out what you're going to do and start fighting for it, because nothing here gets rolled out on a red carpet for you. You're going to go up, you're going to take it. You're not going to not self-reject. You're going to, as Melody said it during our conversation earlier today, like you're going to pull up the seat yourself because you need to. That's your responsibility to everybody later down the line.
Absolutely. You are an inspiration to me, and I really appreciate you. So thank you for all you do.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your connection to agriculture is.
Awesome. So my name's Lacey Drozdowich. I grew up and was raised in Abbotsford, BC, and I'm currently a student at Olds College. My connection to ag has been through the different jobs I've had, and then I decided to pursue an education in agriculture, and that's led me to many different opportunities, including this conference.
Very cool. What were some of your jobs that led you to pursue agriculture education?
Back in high school, I was approached by my friend's dad, and he asked me if I wanted to work scooping ice cream for the summer. And I said, sure, like that sounds really fun. And it led me to working at a demonstration dairy farm as a tour guide. So I was teaching other people, mostly kids, about agriculture, and I really enjoyed it. I've also spent time milking cows. I also worked at a lab back at that farm as well, basically just a lab tech for a little while. But yeah, that's about it.
Very cool. I'm curious. You mentioned you were teaching kids at this dairy farm, doing tours and everything. As a kid yourself, where did you think ice cream came from?
When I was a kid, I knew it came from a cow. But then I'm sure as a kid, I probably just thought it came from that ice cream parlor, really. But I learned at a very young age how all of that stuff was just made, and like that cow's milk turns into so many different products that we all enjoy. And growing up in the city, very much surrounded by so many dairy farms, there's quite a few places that make their own products on site. And so I was very grateful to go and tour those places and actually understand that farm to table concept, but in a more modern atmosphere, I guess you could say.
Cool. So tell me what you are taking in school and what you plan on doing with it after.
Yeah, so I'm currently in my agribusiness degree program. So prior to that, I did my diploma with agriculture management. And so my goal is always to go back to BC and find a job there, hopefully in a agriculture education kind of realm, or back to dairy, maybe genetics, something like that. I don't know exactly, but those are kind of my ideas at this point in time.
I always hated the question, what are you going to do when you grow up? And I used to work in post-secondary education, and it was I don't know what I'm doing 2 weeks from now kind of thing. I don't know what to do as an adult. Nobody tells you this.
Yep.
So you answered that very well.
Thank you. Every time I go home, my family says, so what are you actually doing with your degree? And when do you go back? It's great. Okay.
Yeah. Have you been to the Advancing Women's Conference before?
I have not. No, this is my first year.
What do you think so far?
It's very cool. I've made some really great connections, especially with other students. I will say it's been really great to meet other people who are the same age as you, also pursuing the same direction of education, but maybe at a different institution. So getting to compare notes kind of thing, what you're learning, what they're learning, but also connecting with different industry experts has been really cool, because we just don't get that chance to do that on campus. Obviously some of our teachers do come from industry and then come and teach us what they know. But this is a very different atmosphere, and I've been really enjoying it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story with me, and good luck in your studies.
Thank you.
This is your invitation to invest in you as a leader, a professional, and a woman in agriculture. Mark your calendars for November 23rd through 25th, 2025, and make your way to the Sheraton Falls View in Niagara Falls, Ontario, for the Advancing Women in Agriculture Conference, a powerful event designed to support, connect, and uplift women across the agriculture and food industry. Whether you're a student, producer, entrepreneur, or working in the agribusiness field, you'll walk away with fresh ideas, new connections, and the confidence to keep moving forward. Through sessions focused on communication and coaching, mentorship, networking, financial confidence, health and work-life balance, career planning, and goal setting, AWC gives you the tools and inspiration to thrive in every part of your life. With a strong history of bringing together women from across Canada and the US, the Advancing Women Conference delivers world-class speakers from industry experts to motivational leaders. Don't miss your chance to be a part of it. Head to the link in today's show notes or visit advancingwomenconference.ca to register. Hello, welcome to the Rural Woman Podcast. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your connection to agriculture is.
Yeah, so my name is Monika Robertson, and I am from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I grew up on a small horse farm, hobby farm, in Binscarth, Manitoba, so right by the Manitoba-Saskatchewan border. So that is my connection to agriculture. While my dad did not farm, in your typical farm environment, he grew up on a farm, and I was exposed to it at a very young age because my uncles farmed and my grandpa farmed, and he just chose a different path in life. But we still own our land out there, and it's still my farm, is what I call it. And that led me to actually my career in agriculture.
What are you doing in agriculture today?
I am the corporate marketing manager for Parrish and Heimbecker Limited. I think it's maybe not a well-known company, even though we are the third largest grain company in Canada. We buy grain and sell crop inputs to farmers all the way from Alberta to Ontario. We also have several terminals across Canada, and we divisions of Parrish and Heimbecker include P&H Milling and New Life Mills. So we are actually the largest flour miller in Canada. So we're a fully integrated company, and agriculture is really at the core of everything that Parrish and Heimbecker stands for.
Absolutely. Tell me how you grew into this position. What made you interested in marketing and specifically in agriculture?
Yeah, so I have an ag business degree from the University of Manitoba because I actually went to school, and I was like, I want to be a veterinarian because every little girl wants to be a veterinarian. Realizing quickly that maybe science wasn't necessarily a strength of mine, but being creative and sharing, communicating was definitely something that I was a strength of mine. So I quickly transferred to the business department of ag business, and that's where my education came from. Right out of school, I worked for Big Ag for Monsanto and spent a number of years learning more about herbicides and seed. Spent most of my career on the seed side of the business, really realizing that communication was something that I wanted to do. Went back to school part-time and got a public relations diploma and worked for a producer association in Manitoba. And then looking for something different, I never worked on the retail side of the business or grain. I really didn't understand how grain moved around, and started with Parrish and Heimbecker just over 5 years ago, and really enjoying a whole different aspect of the business. So, probably like 13, 14 years into my career, learning something new about agriculture again, which here I thought I knew it, but clearly I didn't, because the grain and flour milling, like food production, also not something that I experienced earlier on in my career.
Right. And I even just think of it from a farmer's perspective, the understanding of what happens to your grain after it leaves the farm. Sometimes it can be just as simple as, well, I'm going to go drop it off at the elevator and then Jesus take the wheel after that. Like, who knows
Right.
where it's going? And for some crops, us specifically, like we sell it direct to the buyer. Like, we don't have the milling because we have the specialty crop and all of the things. So it's so different, and it's so different in every industry. And I love what you said. You've been in the industry, you grew up around the industry, but you're always learning.
Yes.
And that's what, I think coming to Advancing Women, or really any conference, I'm taking something away and learning every step of the way. So what are you taking away with you from Advancing Women this time?
What I'm taking away is, the connections that I'm building with my fellow colleagues. So at P&H, we every year invite our women to attend this conference, and I am one of the lucky ones that get to choose choose the women to attend with me. So I'm taking away the connections that I'm making with my fellow employees because we have 700 employees across Canada. I don't get to meet them on a regular basis. I might email them periodically, but I don't get to meet them. So those connections and just understanding how they operate and how they do work in their elevators or in their office or wherever they are, and then I'm relishing the information that they're receiving from these conferences. So I am very lucky that I get to attend conferences with my job on a regular basis. A lot of my colleagues don't necessarily attend them. They're, an admin at an elevator or a grain originator at an elevator. And so they don't have the opportunities that I am lucky to have in my career. So I am relishing experiencing it with them and learning and making other connections with watching them making the connections with the other women in ag. I love the inspirational stories and the entrepreneurs. So I am not an entrepreneur. I always wow, it would be super cool to be an entrepreneur. I'm not sure I'm brave enough to do that, but I love to hear about the entrepreneurs and how they are making their path in agriculture and the women entrepreneurs in agriculture. I think that is truly an inspiring story.
Yeah, absolutely. And kudos to P&H for doing this for their employees from the bottom to the top and everywhere in between. Leadership is within everyone, and to note that and to cherish that and to promote that within a company, bravo to you guys. So
thank you. It's something that I work hard for, and thankfully we have a number of women leaders within our company ourselves, and they 100% support us hosting women at both the West and the East Conference.
Yeah, very good. Awesome. Thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your connection to agriculture is.
So I'm Brittany Sigfusson. I live in Strathmore, Alberta. I'm a beef cattle veterinarian out of Veterinary Agri-Health Services, which is just south of Crossfield. So we do cow, calf, and feedlot medicine. I grew up with agriculture my whole life. My parents didn't have cattle, but all of my mom's siblings had beef ranches. So that's where I spent my summers and where my love for beef cattle came from.
What made you decide to go full in and become a full veterinarian?
I kind of have always wanted to be a veterinarian. Since I was little, I just always loved animals. And as I got older, I realized more and more that I wanted to do cattle and be involved with agriculture. One thing is that I just love the people that I work with, and working with producers, really salt of the earth people. You can't find more humble, hardworking group. So that's one of the highlights of my job is the people that I get to work with. But I also love just getting my hands dirty, being outside every day, getting covered in all of the bodily fluids. But
all of the fluids.
But yeah, I love it all. Yeah.
Yeah. What has been some of the biggest challenges you've faced as a woman, as a large animal vet?
Oh, there's definitely been places where I have shown up on the farm and, get a sideways look or get the comment from the old guy like, oh, how come we never get the male vet, or, that sort of thing. And you kind of just have to brush it off. And usually it's not an issue once you pull a calf for them and they realize that you actually know what you're doing. So, we get pushback constantly from that. At my clinic that I'm at now, we have really great clients. So that's not so much an issue anymore. But that was definitely one of the struggles. Another one is that the 4 large animal vets currently, if you go to a conference like the Western Canadian Association of Bovine Practitioners Conference, which I'm actually on the board for now, but if you go to that conference, it's an old boys club, and it's intimidating being a young woman coming into that, feeling like you have to prove yourself to this old boys club. So it's just kind of getting over that and knowing that, I know what I'm doing and I do a great job at it, and to push through that, self-doubt, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to be remiss if I don't say this out loud, because I was sitting at a round table this morning with the government, and to quote Callie, to describe a board, it was male, pale, and stale. And I will forever stitch that on a pillow, because I was like, Oh my gosh, that is the perfect way to describe a lot of boards in agriculture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, one of my goals with joint, like I've been on the board now for a year for this WCABP. And one of my goals is to get more young people, young vets involved in large animal medicine because it's an area where we're lacking, where we don't have enough rural vets, especially cattle vets. So trying to get vet students and young vets interested in that and welcoming them into the industry,
Yeah,
letting them
make
know
it
that they have a
accessible.
place and that they don't need to be intimidated, because I'm sure that there's people that have started out. I mean, I have classmates that started out as mixed vets and are now only doing small animal. And, I think it's a couple different factors as far as income and stuff like that. But I also think it's probably maybe they didn't feel welcome in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you been to the Advancing Women Conference before?
No, this is my first year and it's been great. I am really loving it. It's nice to be at a conference with all women. I mean, basically all women. I have my 2-month-old baby with me, so to be able to just nurse him and not feel any judgment. I've had about probably 10 offers to hold him while I get, a bite to eat, and it's just the support is just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to just note and say thank you for bringing the cutest little farmer to this, not only for the personal like oohing and awing of how adorable he is, but I think there are so many women that think that their child is a barrier, that they cannot come to a conference or they can't go somewhere because they have a child. I've been on a lot of stages in a lot of places. Bring your babies because we would love to hold them.
I agree. There's more support than and
Yeah.
this year I'm actually also in the Canadian Cattle Young Leaders program, and my mentor Andrea Brocklebank, she obviously knew I was having a baby in January and knew that I was coming to these conferences, and she like really pushed me. She's like, you need to bring your baby and
Yep.
like take him and not be ashamed, and
Yep.
just do the mom thing and just rock it. So that's what
Yep.
I'm trying to
We
do.
got you. We got you. Thank you for sharing your story with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Welcome. I'm so excited to be sitting with you. Tell us who you are, what your name is, where you're from, and what your connection to agriculture is.
Yeah, my name is Desaray Skretting. I am one of the sponsored students here at AWC. I am with Yorkville University, so I'm in my Master's of Counseling and Psychology program. I am just about to start my practicum in May here, where I'll actually be taking my first clients. And my connection with agriculture is I grew up on beef production. We also had crops and cereal grains in southern Alberta, close to Lethbridge, and I've been working in the veterinary industry part time while I've been going back to school. So a few different feelers out into the agricultural industry there, but this is just the perfect conference to kind of bring it all together.
Absolutely. What was it about psychology? What was the draw there?
Yeah, so I definitely did not start in psychology. I started it with my major in biology, and I wasn't quite sure the route I wanted to take. After my first few psychology classes, though, in university, I switched my majors. So I graduated with my undergraduate in psychology, my minor in biology, and then I was hooped. I didn't know where I wanted to go from there. And I knew I wanted to work with people, and I had a love and a passion for biology as well, and I had no idea where that was going to go. And it wasn't until I just restarted my master's program after working in the veterinary field for a little bit that I wanted to somehow find something someday that would blend the two together. So the end goal now is to open up an animal assisted therapy practice that, while it incorporates animals into a therapeutic program, also works with people that perhaps have come from the veterinary industry, veterinarians, vet assistants, and now a little bit into the farmer and agricultural world as well. I help volunteer with the National Farmers Mental Health Alliance, who I'm sure you've had on here as well. And that's been an amazing opportunity to kind of connect those two areas as well.
Tell me what you were taking away from the Advancing Women's Conference.
Oh man, what am I not taking away? The biggest thing that stood out to me was last night at the supper, and I got to sit at a table with amazing women, and they were talking about things that were powerful in the sense that I had never heard women talk about such regular things like the importance of communication, but also just politics. I had never felt so empowered sitting around these women and listening to them talk about things in an interesting way. I had only ever heard these kind of conversations come from a primarily male audience. And I'll be honest, it kind of sounded like Charlie Brown's Adults when I had sat and talked about it before, where they just start talking. Wah, 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 wah. And these women made me interested. And these women made me think that my opinion was valued. And coming up as a student, your opinion usually is just, sit and learn and listen. And then I was asked my opinion on things and I was included and I felt valuable. And I felt like I wanted to contribute to the conversation. And that, more than anything, was so powerful and encouraging and inspiring. And then even after the supper had concluded, they spent time lifting me up and encouraging me and asking about me and wanting to invest in my future and my well-being. And that meant more than anything. I think I probably learned at the conference was that connection.
I know what table you were sitting at and the women in which you are speaking of. And once you're in that circle, they don't let you go. And that is something that I think is very special, not only about women in agriculture. Well, no, I'm going to say specifically about women in agriculture because we are so isolated in a lot of things and things can seem really abstract and abnormal to the quote regular person. But once you find these people who are able to support you, we got you. So we got you, Desaray.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your story with me. Hello, welcome. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your connection to agriculture is.
My name is Jessica Larsen. I'm originally from PEI. I go to school in Nova Scotia at Dalhousie's Faculty of Agriculture. I'm a fourth-year agriculture business student, so coming up on the end of the school year very quick here. I grew up on a beef, cattle, and potato farm. I have 3 older brothers, and my mom and dad are all on the farm. And a very big family, all in agriculture. One side of my family had 26. I have 25, I guess. There's 26 first cousins and only 7 women. So surrounded by men was a very big part of my life. And now I'm just trying to find that spot for me.
Absolutely. Very cool. So growing up in a fairly large operation and predominantly men, what kind of role models did you have from your family or even in your community of different women and what they were doing in agriculture?
Yeah, definitely. I got a lot through 4-H was probably the biggest thing. And of course, my mom as well. She worked a full-time job and kept up with the books on the farm. And then eventually when we knew we wanted to grow and my brothers wanted to farm, she came home full-time to make sure that was possible. So that's really good to see and nice to see that there's always a place for women. And I guess just in the 4-H program, just seeing women and women leaders and being taught by them growing up was a big help.
Very cool. What are you hoping to do once you're done school?
So right now, my path, I've done research the last 3 summers, 1 summer with Ag Canada and Bible Hill, 2 summers with the PEI Department of Agriculture. So I like that research. I like being out in the field. I like helping the farmers. I like finding solutions or being part of finding the solution. So right now, just looking, and I guess more into the plant science side of things. So just looking for a route there right now, just looking at jobs with Ag Canada again, McCain's, and other local businesses and small companies.
Very cool. Is this your first time at the Advancing Women Conference?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
What do you think so far?
It's really nice. It's really cool to hear all the stories and get to meet everybody. And again, people that are a little bit older and have the experience in the industry, but as well to hear other students and their pathways, where they are, what they're taking, and whether it be they're still an undergrad, a master's student, or a PhD student, just learning what they're doing, where they've come from, how they got to where they are. And again, the older generations and the influence, just seeing how they got to where they are as well. It's really inspiring being in a conference, a hotel full of women that all have something in common.
Right. Well, and you mentioned, finding that place for yourself in agriculture and to be surrounded by so many incredible women doing essentially different things, but having that place. And for me, even still, it's inspiring to know that we can make our own place. We can pull up the extra seat at the table if we need to. So it was really great chatting with you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Rural Woman Podcast. The Rural Woman Podcast is more than just a podcast. We are a community. A huge thank you to the Rural Woman Podcast team, audio editor Max Hofer. A special thanks to our Patreon executive producers, Sarah Riedner from Happiness by the Acre. To learn how you can become a Patreon executive producer or other ways to financially support the show, head on over to wildrosefarmer.com to learn more. Be sure to hit the follow or subscribe button wherever you listen to the podcast to get the latest episodes directly on your playlist. And if you are loving the show, please be sure to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or any other platform that accepts ratings and reviews. You can connect with us on social media at The Rural Woman Podcast and with me at Wild Rose Farmer. One of the best ways you can support the show is by sharing it. Send this episode to a friend or share on your social media. Let's strengthen and amplify the voices of women in agriculture together. Until next time, my friend, keep sharing your story. Did you know that you can get this same great episode of the Rural Woman Podcast ad-free? I get it. Listening to ads during a podcast isn't always my favorite either. But in order to keep the lights and coffee pot on here at the Rural Woman Podcast Studios, they are necessary. I am so grateful to each and every one of my sponsors, but if you yourself would like to skip the ads while supporting the show, consider joining me over on Patreon. Patrons of the Rural Woman Podcast get ad-free episodes starting at Tier 5 on their podcast player of choice each week, plus some other great benefits. Find out more by heading to the link in today's show notes to learn how you can become a patron through Patreon.